Hello and welcome back to another video. It's tax season, and we all know what that means. Well, it's tax season. So anyway, we got another video for everyone today, and I'm very excited about it. In the last video, I talked a lot in the end about what life looks like after religion. And I wanted to kind of like make a whole video about that, where I'm not really reacting to something, I'm just sort of speaking from my heart and talking to you all about the things that I think about this stuff. All of these are really great descriptors. I'm gonna tell you a little something about what I think about things, maybe a little bit, and we'll see. I specifically wanted to talk more about purpose and passion and what those look like after you leave the church, because I think that's like a really big question for a lot of people, and we'll get into why. But as I was writing the last video, this whole other video kind of like came out of me as I wanted to break down what it looks like to have purpose and passion post church days. Everybody's journey with it is different, and obviously not everything I'm gonna say is going to apply directly, or maybe something about it is just not that useful for you. But I feel like through all the things that I'm gonna cover today, there will be pieces that people will be able to use for themselves. And these are all pieces that have helped me in some way, which is why I'm sharing them. When you leave religion, when you leave the church, it can be a really confusing mess of emotions, of practicalities, and it's usually not just messy for the person leaving, it also gets messy with like the people that you know and that you care about, like friends and family. So I'm hoping to carve out little time today to talk about these issues here. So come along as we dive into this I don't know what to call it, into this video. Okay, so first of all, I do want to say I'm not here to tell you to stop being mad at the church. A lot of what the organization of the church does in the world is horrendous, and I'm not here to make excuses for them or convince people to not be mad at them. Be mad. Tear down the system. Don't put up with their bullshit anymore. Make people aware of the fact that organizations like the Catholic Church are fronts for criminals to hide in, and they use their authority to hide them. I would never tell you to stop being mad at the harm they caused you and the harm they're currently causing for others. They deserve to be held accountable, and I sure hope I live to see the day that when they are. What I am here to help with is the pain that comes from the religious trauma caused by the church for so many of us. Religious trauma, for people who don't know, often occurs when an individual struggles with leaving a religion or a set of beliefs that has led to their indoctrination. It often involves the trauma of breaking away from a controlling environment, lifestyle, or religious figure. And something important to understand is that trauma happens on a spectrum for everybody. So what is traumatizing to one person is not necessarily going to be traumatizing to another person. And the opposite is true too. Just because something wasn't traumatic for you doesn't mean that it's not traumatic for someone else. So the first thing I want to encourage you with is claiming your experience as your own, instead of comparing yourself to others. I know that's a lot easier said than done, but it's an important piece of the foundation of this whole conversation. For so long, I was personally scared to claim my own religious trauma because I felt like what I had experienced was not as bad as what other people go through in life. I could clearly see the problems and patterns in my life that seemed to obviously stem from my days in religion, but I thought I should have just been able to get over it. Because of this, it took me years to trust myself, to know myself, to stop gaslighting myself about the traumas I had experienced, and to finally seek support. So I want to be the first or the 10th or the 100th or the millionth person to tell you, your trauma doesn't have to be so much worse than the other stories you hear about for it to count as trauma. Nobody knows better than you what you've experienced and what you're currently experiencing. It's valid for you to claim that in your life and to seek support around it. I know that's a bit of a heavy way to start this video, but it's an important piece that I really think needs to be laid out there. So now that maybe you're at least one step closer to accepting that you were seriously negatively affected or even traumatized by the church, I think a very natural next step is to be pissed at the church, religion, and even your parents or guardians for putting you through all of that. I'm not here trying to tell anybody like go yell at your parents or anything like that. I'm just saying it can be really hard to work through these emotions because of how overwhelming they can be, and it's really natural to experience a lot of these things. So I'm trying to put it out there to normalize. I mean, for a lot of people, religion was their whole life, including me. Every social event was planned around church. All your friends were religious. All your life goals were centered around God and how religion fit into your life. And when you pull away from that, you can lose friends, family, community, and all your sense of self and purpose. After all, if everything is centered around something you no longer believe in, what does that leave you with? For a lot of people, it can feel like it leaves you with nothing. But my next point of encouragement here is that it doesn't actually leave you with nothing as much as it might feel that way. It's important to grieve what has been lost because you really do go through a process of losing a lot of integral things. But in my opinion, the truth is that it leaves you with yourself. While that can feel like a kind of like duh statement, I think the nuance of that is really important to realize. You may feel lost in the experience of leaving religion, but you are still you. Even if the authentic expressions of you are buried underneath the weight of years of indoctrination. Now, the next step from here is usually to begin deconstructing those years of indoctrination. And once you start diving into some of it, whether it's on your own, through therapy, or via another method, it can quickly start to feel like a bottomless pit of bullshit. Personally, when I began moving through my religious trauma and healing all of that, the trauma started to feel like the Hydra from Greek mythology. Every time I discovered and healed one piece, 3 more would appear. It can be really discouraging sometimes. And you may even start to believe that it's a never-ending black hole of trauma and healing that's going to take a lifetime to move through. But whether or not it will actually take a lifetime is not so much the point for me anymore. What I think is more important to remember is the more healing you do, the more you'll be able to live the life you want to live. And the less those old religious patterns will dictate what you do in your life and how you do it. Just like everybody's trauma is different, everybody's healing looks different too. So it doesn't help so much to compare yourself to other people's journeys. But I will say that coming up against hopeless feelings and comparing yourself to other people, I think is a natural part of this. Again, I say that to try to normalize it because I think we just get so hard on ourselves when we start to feel hopeless and when we start to compare our lives to other people's lives, because we start to think, oh, I shouldn't be comparing, and if I'm hopeless, then I'm not doing anything good about it. I'm just like wallowing. But these things aren't so much bad as they are just a part of it in my mind. And we learn how to move through those. So I wanted to give that reminder. And that reminder won't always help either, but I hope that at least sometimes you remember that having lows and comparing yourself to others is natural. And maybe that'll bring you a little comfort, and maybe that will help you be a little more compassionate towards yourself. And as you take those small baby steps forward, it becomes easier to discover more about yourself. Your likes and dislikes become more clear. It becomes easier to make decisions that don't revolve around whether or not you're going to go to heaven or hell. You feel more connected to the world and in the present moment because you're not worrying if your non-religious family and friends are saved. Not to mention you have so much more free time now because you're not spending hours every week attending church, going to Bible study, volunteering at church events, and worrying about reading the Bible and the newest study booklet in your alone time. I know it can feel like a painstakingly slow process, and sometimes it just fucking is, unfortunately. But it is possible to get to a point where you feel like less of your trauma and more of you is expressing in the world. And this is where it can start to be fun, albeit also kind of a pain in the ass. Redefining yourself. Leaving religion is no joke when it comes to stripping you of purpose and passion. Like I mentioned, when your whole life revolves around a mission established by someone else for someone else, it can be difficult to ascertain what the fuck you want to do with your life after you no longer subscribe to the aforementioned mission. Basically, you were jazzed about Jesus, and now that's gone, and you don't know what in the goddamn hell to be jazzed about anymore. Hey, I'm right there with you. I understand. I'm not so much at the beginning of that phase anymore, but holy shit did it take me a long time to get over that initial hump when I first left. I had no fucking clue what I was passionate about or what I felt like my life's purpose was. Now, not everybody necessarily needs or wants to be passionate about something or feel like their life has purpose or meaning, and that's fine. But I have struggled through my own nihilism and have gotten to a point where I desire those things for myself. I've decided that I want my life to be full of purpose and passion. And for me, that means living with confidence, making an impact on other people, creating art wherever and whenever I can, and dismantling the neoliberal capitalist market we find ourselves in, along with the patriarchy. You know, your basic I'm here and I'm queer kind of shit. But I spent years before all of that thinking that saving people before the end of days was the most important thing in the world, that sharing Jesus with others was my main purpose in being alive, and I didn't fucking know what to do with myself after I realized, well, that's dumb. I'm I'm not doing that anymore. Not to mention the self-confidence issues that come from believing I was created specifically to save other people and to do the bidding of an ancient supernatural being who is clearly a psychopath. I was a wreck. Sometimes I'm still a wreck. What day is it? What's on my calendar? Do I need to be doing something? Why does it feel like I'm always supposed to be doing something important, but I never know what it is? Oh, that's right. The fate of the world, and specifically my friends' and family's lives, were all in my hands. From the time I could speak until the time I finally decided Jeebus Crimpst and his cruxtification no longer mattered. Except for that deeply stored little nugget inside of me that still believes Jesus is coming any day now. That I'm gonna end up becoming the prodigal son who wasted my life because I made the wrong choices. That I'm gonna be chained up to the devil when Jesus comes back like Princess Leia in Jabba's palace and watch as God gives me the Caesar thumbs down and sends me straight to hell. Am I the only one? Is it just me? Why are we not talking about this? So basically, there is a whole new world to discover when it comes to redefining who you are and what you stand for. Unfortunately, there's just often a steaming pile of religion shit that God and his so-called shepherds left right on top of your head to make you feel like a piece of shit, unless you have God shitting on your head and you're thanking him for that as he shits on you. Well, I'm here to tell you, you're not a piece of shit. There's nothing universally and cosmically so important that is only up to you to figure out. You are not broken, and you're not wasting your time. You are whole as you are right now, and this is your fucking life to do with it what you want. So, what does it look like to discover a new purpose and passion? I'm glad you asked. Well, it can look like anything. That's the beauty and the annoyance of it. So often, us ex-religious folks feel like we have to discover a new purpose and passion. Like we're gonna be walking down a road and suddenly come upon a big old hunk of diamond that somebody left there for us to find. Well, I'm sorry to tell you, there's not really anything outside of yourself to discover. Nobody's leaving diamonds around to help you decide what to do with your life, unfortunately. Those diamonds are already inside of you. Now, I know that sounds cheesy, but I believe that it's true. There are certainly things we can discover about ourselves by engaging with new people and new experiences, but your purpose is not decided outside of you. You get to decide what your purpose is. You may find that you're naturally more passionate about some things more than other things, but you still get to decide where to spend your time, where to put your energy, and which passions of yours you're going to pursue. This can all feel very sandboxy, like there's an unlimited amount of options, which can be a new kind of overwhelming sensation, and that might make you back off. You might think to yourself, oh no, if it's causing me stress or difficulty, it's probably not for me. My purpose and passion will bring me joy and happiness, so I'll definitely know when it's here, and this is bringing me some stress, so this obviously isn't it. Stop. That's a trap. It's a trap. Almost nothing in life comes without some sort of difficulty, and we could philosophize all day about why that is, but at the end of the day, that's just the way it is in this current form of reality, and unless you have some way of accessing other dimensions or the multiverse, we exist here and now. Religion often likes to teach us that the here and now sucks, and that we should always be preparing for and looking forward to the future, when we are inevitably saved by some deity from the shittiness of our lives, and finally brought into a peaceful existence without stress, without difficulty, without any sort of bad negative things. But I'll say it again, this is a trap. It's a trap! It's a trap meant to make you more complacent and unconcerned with the issues of the present moment, because it makes you think, well, it's all gonna end someday anyway. While it may be true that it will end, since death is a part of life and we're all gonna die, super hopeful video, it doesn't really serve our life's purpose and passion to believe that no day now is ever gonna be good as someday in the future. It's okay to look ahead and to make goals and to be excited about things in the future, but it's important to always root it back into the present. So for example, if you've got a goal, you can ask yourself, what small step can I take right now, this week, this month, to serve that goal? This can help you trace it back into your life and figure out how to take some action in the present. And the action taking is one of the most important parts, because then you're actively participating in creating your life, instead of waiting for your life to begin once you discover the diamond. So the key word to all of this is decide. No one else is going to decide for you what your purpose and passion are. Religion taught us that God had a plan for our lives and that we just had to pray really hard to discover what that plan was. This made me, and I'm guessing a lot of people, dependent on someone else to make these big decisions for me. I believed that God knew better than me, so I doubted myself. I thought, someone else knows better than me and I really don't want to mess this up, so why would I choose a path for myself? Your self-confidence and your self-trust are eroded in the church, and it takes time and support to build them back up. But it is possible to build them back up. And if you don't feel like you could ever really decide what your purpose is and what your passions are, that's okay. There's no time limit. What's one small thing that you can do in the next month to help you take one more step closer to being able to decide your purpose and your passion for yourself? Do that and keep going. You can't mess this up. As much as it feels like you are going to mess it up and you're afraid of messing it up, trust me, I understand, but messing it up insinuates that there is a correct way to live your life. Your life has never been lived before, so there is no right or wrong. You get to decide, and that's all that really matters. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you made it this far, please consider liking and subscribing. Hopefully people liked and subscribed even if they didn't make it this far, but if they didn't make it this far, then they're not seeing this message, so I'm just putting it out there. Liking and subscribing really helps the channel. It lets me know what you're liking, and it also helps boost the channel so more people see this content. And I'm pretty close to 500 subscribers now, so I'm excited to hit that threshold. Please comment below if you feel like I missed anything in this list about purpose and passion. I feel like they're huge subjects that we could talk all day about. So I know I didn't cover everything, but I tried to really hit like the main points here in a digestible way. But I would love to know, what are your experiences with purpose and passion, and how have you reclaimed a lot of that after leaving the church? And for people who haven't been religious and didn't have to leave like a toxic religious situation, I think these things can still apply, so I would love to hear what you do to establish purpose and passion in your life. And how do you know when something's purposeful? How do you know when you feel passionate about something? I think there's such a wide range of what we can experience as humans, and I'm fascinated by all the different experiences that we all have. So yeah, I love interacting with you all in the comments, and I'd love to hear your thoughts. Share this with anybody you think might benefit from it, and ask me questions if you want me to explain something else, and I'll either answer in the comments or I'll make another video. Let me know. If you'd like to follow me and support me, I'm going to put my social media links in the description below. I also have the link to my Patreon, which is slowly growing in its supporters, so thank you very much. Our newest patron who has joined our little community there is I Heart Dogs. Thank you so much for your support. It really means a lot to me, and it helps tremendously. So if you like this content and you want to see more of it, you can support me there. The last thing I'll be putting in the description box are a couple of resources to help you with life after religion, so you can find those links down there. And yeah, you all are super awesome. Thanks for watching. Now go do your taxes.